Hey everybody, Coach Toolshed here, and today I want to do something a little bit different. I want to talk about a smaller game, and this is not really going to be a review. It's just a game that I want to put a spotlight on. And it's a game that I really enjoyed from last year, and this is something I kind of want to start putting on the channel here and there. I want to start doing, a little bit of spotlight videos on some smaller games. Maybe they might not all be indies necessarily, but shorter games, not full price games, but they will generally be single player experiences, but just games you can maybe start playing on a weekend, pick up and beat by the end of the weekend and have a fun time doing it. And so that's what I want to start doing. Let me know if you guys want to see any more of these after you watch the video. And let's get right into it. The game I want to talk about came out last summer in 2017, and this is from Supergiant Games, and the name of the game is Pyre. Now, Supergiant Games also has made a couple other games that you may or may not have heard of, most notably Bastion and Transistor, which are games you might have seen floating around in some digital storefronts over the last few years. But this is a game that came out last year. And this is a different sort of game than maybe some of you have played before. This is a story-driven game entirely. There's gameplay involved, but even the gameplay ties in to the story directly. So what happens, whether you succeed or fail, or whatever happens in the gameplay, whatever choices you make, it all ties back into the story. And admittedly, it is pretty difficult to go into too many details about the story at all without starting to tread directly into spoilers that would ruin the experience, really. But basically, what I can tell you is the main character is you, and your name is the reader. And you'll be doing a lot of reading in the game. So, this game might not be for everyone. If you can't read or can't comprehend what you are reading, I would say hard pass for you on this one. If reading is not your forte, probably Pyre is a game that you should definitely avoid. But if you can read and you can, follow a story, there's a very interesting story to be found here, and it seems pretty simple at first. But as you progress and as you get, about halfway through the game and then to the end of the game, you'll realize that the decisions that you've been making and really what you thought about yourself and your companions, it's not what you think at all. And you might be like, oh, what's this, some weird dream sequence? No, it's not. That's not it either. It's not. Everything you're playing in the game, I suppose, would be based in the reality of that world. It's not like you're not having a dream. It's not one of those things where it's like, oh, that's a cheap way. No, it's a story-based way. It flips the story on its head in a clever narrative way, and if you're paying attention to it, it's like, wow, and I can't tell you anything about that part of the story because it will ruin it. But if you play through, you'll see that all of the decisions you've been making throughout the game will affect how the story plays out, how the end game situation plays out for you. The choices you make will affect your gameplay and what you're able to do with your gameplay. The choices you make will limit you in some ways. And there's some tough decisions that you're going to have to make throughout the game. It's not all going to be tulips and roses flying around. You're going to have to make some tough decisions. But it's up to you and how you play as the reader, and what happens to your group of exiles. What happens to the companions that you pick up along the way. And the companions that you pick up in the game are, I will say, as a group, this is one of my favorite group of companions that I've played with in any game in a long time. This is a very well written group of characters, and even the characters that are not in your party, the people you're playing against, the other characters throughout the world that you're going to run into, they're pretty entertaining. This is a well-written group of characters, and I cared about them by the end, believe it or not. Even though they're not voiced, they're not really animated so much, they're just, this is what you're seeing on the screen. It's just dialogue and pictures, but it works. It really does. You'll start out being found by a group of 3 exiles, and basically you're in this abandoned realm and you're in exile, and everyone in there is trying to get out, and the only way they can get out is by participating in these rites, and the rites have this thing called a pyre, and basically it's like a weird little 3-on-3 game that you play against a computer, or you can actually play against a friend. I believe that you can play it's not couch co-op because you're not playing with them, you're playing against them, but you can play against a friend right there in the game. There's another separate mode where you can pick your players and, you know, play against your friend. It's a little bit something different, but for the story mode, you're going to be playing against the computer, so that's really more what I'm focused on here. The versus mode is more of a completely separate mode, but the option is there if you wanted to play with your friend. But basically, you're just going to be playing this weird little game, and the thing I can compare it closest to is if you ever played Blitzball back in Final Fantasy X, back at way back. If you ever played Blitzball, it's in some ways similar to that, and if that was a pastime that you enjoyed, you might enjoy this as well, because your characters will gain strength, they'll gain level, and you can unlock new abilities for your characters in your party as they compete in these rites, which are, like I said, they're just little 3-on-3 games, and basically all you have to do is your team has to maneuver around and get the ball or the orb into the pyre, and based on which character you're using, it takes away, you know, more points out of the opponent's pyre, and when you completely douse the flame, then you win, or you lose. And if you lose, it's not game over. That ties into the story. You winning ties into the story. It's not just like, oh, it's a stupid little weird game and they keep stats. It's not like that. Whether you win or lose, ties into the story, and it ties into the story in a more clever way than you might be expecting. And again, I don't want to spoil it in any way. But anyway, I don't want to make this too long of a video. I just wanted to put a spotlight on this game. I think it's very interesting. As you can see, the art style is very vibrant. It's very unique. It employs both a 2D or what they would say a 2.5D sort of thing on the travel screen, and then you have the conversations, and it's just like you've been seeing in the video. That's most of the game, and then you play the rites, and that's the game. It has voice acting, but they speak it in a language that you don't understand. It's basically all reading, and then there is a narrator that speaks, which is voiced by a regular actor that you can understand. And I will also say that the narrator in Supergiant games, if you have never played any of the Supergiant games, the narrator alone in their games makes them worth playing. just hands down. It's very entertaining stuff. They make very well-made games. They take a few years. They don't just churn these out. They put them out like every 3 years, so it's going to be still probably another couple years before we see another game from these guys. But I just want to put a spotlight on this. If I had to tell you a top 5 list from 2017, I would have this game in my top 5 from last year. That's how much I liked this game. And you might think that this is not a game for you, and it might not be. It might not be. This might not be a game for you. But if you like sort of choosing what happens, this is a role-playing game in the sense that what you choose actually matters, and it's not like a Detroit Become Human where it's just like choose this, choose that, choose this, choose that. There's more gameplay involved as well, because you have to play through the rites. It's like a little game inside a game inside the narrative, and it's very well done. It seems weird. I get that. It's an odd concept, but it works. And if you play through it, it won't take you long to beat. You can beat it in a weekend. And like I said, that's kind of the purpose of these videos. And I want to see if you guys want to see more of this type video where I just put a quick spotlight on a game. It's not really a review. This is a game that I enjoyed a lot, and some of you might too. Maybe you'll hate it. Maybe you don't want to see me do any videos like this and you just want more news. But I want to try to sprinkle in stuff like this. If I'm going to be complaining about stuff, I should also tell you what I do like, and this is something that I do like. And I think we should support smaller developers that are making games like this, because the quality indie games take time to make. And with these bigger publishers, just, you know, they're stripping their games down more and more every year. We've been talking about it on the channel. I don't want to get into that here, but I'd like to support indie games and smaller developers and these lower cost of entry games that, you know, there's really nothing stopping anyone from playing this. It's a small amount of time, it's a small amount of money, and I had a great time playing it. So that's all I wanted to say. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'd love to hear if this is anything you guys care about. I'm not expecting to get a lot of views on this, I'm sure, because it's kind of an off-topic game and it's not a new game, and I don't know. But I wanted to put this video out, put a little spotlight on this game. Let me know what you guys think down below. I'm Coach Toolshed, and as always, keep it turned to 11.